kind of looks like a ramp, right? That's why they've got this dirt bike guy, I guess. So we've got this ramp going up. So the front we're going to call the first little triangle. So we're drawing the little triangle, and do your best. Not everybody can be amazing like me.
What? What is that?
Exactly. Okay, it's the best I could do.
Yeah, she said.
Give me a break. So the front and back are the triangles, okay? And the reason I know those are front and back is because when we talk about side, I think of right and left, and that would be the side, right? So the top then is the ramp itself, which is a rectangle. And I know at this angle it might look like a parallelogram, but really we're talking about a rectangle, because if we're looking down, that's a rectangle. Parallelogram's not going to work for a ramp. Then the bottom piece, if we're talking about the piece that's flat on the ground, is another rectangle. And it looks about the same size, but we're just kind of doing our best drawing it. It's not a big deal. And then the side, I think right or left. And so that little, well, it's a, what is it? A little rectangle. Yeah. Right? Do you see it? Well, that's a rectangle. Give me a break. Now, I'm going to say what shape it is. Obviously, we've got triangle, triangle, and what are the other three? Rectangles. All right. Now, the piece that they didn't ask us to do, but I want to do, is the labeling, because I think that's one of the most important things to draw in the lesson, is how to draw numbers from here to put on here so that we can find the surface area. So look at this triangle. So I'm just going to erase what I do each time. So I've got this triangle right here. Can you tell me, well, what are the numbers I need for a triangle?
A base height. What half time? Base and height.
Jeremy?
Base, height, height.
No.
Well, and then we'll divide by 2. But for right now, we just need to know base and height, right? So what's the base of this triangle?
2 and 24.
24. And what's the height of this triangle? A 2. All right. And what about this back one here? Same. Because the thing is, if these are rectangles, that means that this, let me just get rid of this. That means this line and this line are the same. It means that the bottom rectangle, this line and this line would be the same. It means for this back rectangle, this line and this line would be the same. So therefore, we have the same triangles because of that. Now, do you think all of the rectangles are the same?
No.
If we get lucky, it is. But that's barely ever going to happen for us. We'll see an example where it does, but top and bottom are the same. So again, let's just get rid of this. So the top. So looking at the top, this is our rectangle.
20 and 24. Yeah.
3 and 24.
Or 24 and 3.
Or 24 and 3.
Same.
Okay? And then the bottom,
It's the same.
yeah, if we get rid of our marks here and we trace out the bottom, and then okay, just, it looks good. I like it a lot. Let's just erase it again. Then the back, or the side.
That looks like 2.
Three.
It is 2 and 3.
2 and 3. Yeah, because if this side of this rectangle was 3, then this side of that same rectangle is 3, which attaches to the baby rectangle. So 2 by 3.
Did someone just...
Okay.
So anyway, are you with me on this?
Yes. I understand.
Okay, so if we were to find the surface area, what do you think we'd do?
Multiply the base and the height.
And divide by 2 for the rectangle.
And
Yep.
then you do
So-
Base times height.
Okay, and then what do we do with all those numbers once we're done?
Add them
Add them
together.
up. So this is going to be very reminiscent of the composite figure. It's all going to come back. But we're going to be setting up the chart. So it's going to be really important that the way that I show you on the board is how you do your homework tonight, because that's what I'm going to be looking for.
Oh, we only have 2 problems today. Yay!
But we'll see. That was first period. We'll see what you guys get. All right. So we've got our example here, and notice that that's a lot different than that triangular prism that we just saw. The last triangular prism, if we were to graph it out, there's a couple different ways that we could draw it, but it might look like this, right?
looks like a
it could look like a broken arrow, where it would be like this. That's another option. That's really exaggerated, and I'm so sorry. That's a horrible picture. So, but it's got these. So if we were to fold it up, this would fold into this, and this would fold into that. Do you see that so far?
Sure.
Then this would wrap around and go into this one.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
because think about when we were making those rectangular prisms, how we just kept rotating the box. That's what we're doing, except now we're wrapping it.
But what about the top guy?
And then this guy would go to this guy, because this would go up and over, flatten onto this.
So you're saying
what's the top guy?
So you're saying we work at FedEx?
You mean this guy? How would he go?
Yeah.
This would go to this, like
It
that.
looks like a plane.
This one would go to this one,
Is this a cheap plane?
and then this again would float over to that.
So
It's like same thing.
It's the same situation, except this would fold up, and these would fold up to that.
oh, and then those will fold in, right?
Yeah, this one I'm kind of flopping over. So it all kinds of depends on where your folds are.
Makes
And we have to think of these lines as folds with a 3D shape. And what is this called again? What are these, when we flatten them out like this, what is it called? Starts with an N. Very short word.
Net.
A net. Yes. A net. When we flatten them out. Net. Thank you for being the two people that pay attention. All right. So for this picture, notice that this triangle, and it looks like all the sides are the same,
It's
right?
like 3 rectangles and a triangle.
So we need to, what I want to do, so they flattened it out and they made this net. Pay attention. They flattened it out and made this net, but what I would like is for us to just make a, like we just did a second ago where we listed them, a chart. I want us to make a chart like that. So I'm going to make a chart over here with the 2 triangles that match. And then what are the other pictures? How many more do I have?
3 rectangles.
3 rectangles. Why do you think there's 3 rectangles?
Because
There are 3 sides.
Because there's 3 sides to a triangle.
God, I sound like that.
Oh my.
Okay,
All
you
right.
guys are so annoying.
This is going to be unrecorded, so everybody will know.
Oh,
Annoying.
really? Wait, you can't cut out our voices.
Do you think I'm magic?
Yeah.
All right, so then, anyway, so then we've got to figure out our base and our heights for all of these so that we can find the areas, right? So looking at this triangle,
101.
what is my base?
1,
1.
What's my height?
1.
0.9.
Why do you think 0.9?
Oh, because it points to the middle thing. It points to the middle thing.
We're looking for the magic box, and the magic box tells us that the height is 0.9. So up and down here, this is 0.9. So if I were to find the area of this one, I would do area equals 1/2 times base times height, 1/2 times 1 times 0.9.
Which is 9. Sharpie sharp. What?
1/2 of 1,
Oh.
and then that's times 0.9.
Wait, why don't you just
Where's my
one?
Exactly, right? You guys using the calculators, I said you could use them.
That's why I said
Oh.
Well, what's 1/2 of 1?
0.5.
0.5, half.
Because 0.5 is 0.5.
Wait, what?
0.1. 0.45.
All right, so this is 0.45. Does that make this one 0.45?
Yes.
All right.
Same thing.
All right. Now, let's label up our rectangles, and I'm going to give you the tip of a lifetime for this.
Wow.
I
1
know.
and 2.
It's a very exciting time for you. So we've got, I'm just going to get rid of my beautiful marks here. So what I want you to do is the first step to figuring out your rectangles is to take those triangles and set them on top and bottom. And then tell me what the height is of my prism. So if I take this and I smush it like this, what's the height?
So add 2.
2. The 2 right here.
I almost said it.
Okay? The 2 is on every single rectangle around. So I'm going to just pre-label all of these with the same number 2. Now, to determine the side lengths, I'm going to go back to this triangle. And every side of this triangle will be a side of each of these rectangles. Because look, these rectangles are all coming out of these sides, right?
I see,
So
I see.
the bottom of the rectangle was,
1.
and the side over here,
0.9.
and this slant was,
1.
and so every one of these is 1. What kind of triangle is that?
It's a triangle.
A rectangle.
No, what kind of triangle is this?
Oh, triangle.
Where all the sides are the same.
It's oh crap.
Regular?
No.
They're all equal,
Trapezoid?
so it's an
Square?
equilateral.
What the heck?
Oh, wow.
I think I never heard of it.
I don't know.
All right.
Guys, shut. This is going
Next.
to YouTube.
Base times height for this, what do we have?
2.
2.
And for this?
2.
And this.
2. 6.
So don't get it twisted that you think all of these are going to be the same, because it's not going to be like that. So now what do?
Add.
Add them all up. 2
Six.
plus 2 plus 2 plus 0.4 plus 0.4. And so what do you end up with?
Did you say 0.4?
5. Sorry. 0.45 plus 0.45.
Okay,
I wrote it right.
6.9.
I got 6.9.
6.9 centimeters squared.
no.
Yes.
Yes.
Just kidding. I can't read this calculator.
All right, so now we're going to go over to number 2. And the reason I want to look at number 2 is because that's not a perfect situation. We don't have an equilateral triangle now. And this is where we have to do that detective work. And if we're smart, we'll use that tip I just gave you. You guys are doing a lot of printing today.
We're going to use lots of paper. We have a project.
All right. So over in this side area, right here, the work zone, we're going to do this problem as if this doesn't exist,
Okay.
okay? Because this is how I want you to do it on your homework.
I found the answer.
What's 920 square meters?
All right.
Nobody cares.
All right. So
You're so
we're taking this and we're putting it over here. What are the first shapes I'm going to write?
Triangle.
Triangles. And so this is a right triangle that kind of looks like this. So I'm going to just draw 2 of those.
Ooh, that's actually.
And even though they're the same, I draw 2 so I don't forget that I have 2 of them when I'm adding my numbers together, because that happens a lot. Then how many other shapes do I have?
You have 3 rectangles.
3 rectangles. And I don't care if the rectangles really match the picture, just draw your rectangles. Leave yourself some space to plug your numbers in. Now we're going to label, and what are the 2 things I need for triangle?
Base and height.
Base and height. So what are the 2 numbers that I'm going to put for the rectangle, or the triangles?
8 and 15.
8 and 15. You said 17. Why am I not using 17?
Because it's not.
Because it's the slant. And we're looking for a right angle. That tells us our 2 numbers to use. Okay?
Reading what I see on
All right. Next, we're now going to do our area equals 1/2
time
base
times
height. So what do I put? 1/2 times.
1/2 of 8 is 4.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I would rather put 8 there. It doesn't matter that the base and height are mixed, because I'd rather do 1/2 of 8 is 4, and then 4 times 15 is 60. Very good. So for these 2, I'm going to write inside of them, if I made enough room, 60 and 60, because they're each 60, right?
Yeah.
Bless you. All right, next, I'm going to label my 3 rectangles. So take this, set it on its end. What's the height?
Ooh. It's 20.
20. So every one of these gets a 20. 20, 20, 20. And how do I figure out the edges now? What do you think?
Like what I see is whenever like you tilt it that way, I see like 20 and 17 go together, and I see the 20 and 15 go together.
I see 8 and 20.
Yeah, the shortcut is if you look at your triangle and you've got all 3 sides of the triangle, you have all 3 heights of these rectangles. So we've got 17, 15, and 8.
Doesn't matter like
No
which.
more sharpening your pencil. It's
Wait.
sharpen up.
I have a question. Doesn't matter where we put Doesn't matter where we put our numbers at.
Nah. No, you can have a different order. You'll still end up with the same 3 numbers as I will. So go ahead and do your base times height, 17 times 20.
I'm not even gonna do it. They got calculators.
Good job. Way to quit.
300.
Yeah, it's 300. I'm pretty sure.
All right, and then this one?